We are taking a look at some geometry today. Specifically, we are looking at identifying lines, rays, and line segments, and we're going to find out what parallel and perpendicular means. Let's start with some definitions. Beginning with lines. A line is infinite. This means that it is never ending. When we're asked to draw a line, it's going to look a little bit differently to what you're used to seeing. See, a line in geometry should be drawn with an arrow on both ends to show that it never ends and that it has no beginning. Here we've drawn line AB and we're saying that it is diagonal. Take note of the symbol drawn above the letters AB, as this is how you would indicate that AB was a line. Next, we're going to take a look at line segments. A line segment is a part of a line, and what this means is that if you had, let's say, line AB from the previous example, and you were to cut it into parts, you would be left with a line segment. So it is something that has a beginning and it has an end. For this reason, there are no arrows drawn on a line segment. Just like we can see here in line segment CD, there are no arrows, and we've said that line segment CD is horizontal. Take note of the line segment symbol drawn above the letters CD. Next, we'll take a look at some rays. A ray has a beginning, but it never ends. Here in the diagram, we can see that the ray starts at point F and continues past E. You'll see that there is an arrow drawn at point E, which shows that the ray continues in E's direction. Now let's learn about what perpendicular means. Lines, rays, and segments that are perpendicular to one another meet at 90-degree angles. Here we have a diagram of a pair of lines which we've labeled GH and RJ. We know that these are lines because both GH and RJ have arrows on both ends. Here we can see that GH and RJ meet at a 90-degree angle, and we label this with a small box to show that they are perpendicular to each other. If we were asked to find a pair of perpendicular lines in the diagram, we would say line GH is perpendicular to line RJ. Take note of the perpendicular symbol we use here to answer the question. Lastly, let's have a look at what the word parallel means. Lines, rays, and segments that are parallel to one another mean that they are traveling at the exact same angle as each other. They are lines or rays or segments that will never ever meet no matter how long they get. It means that the lines, rays, or segments remain equidistant no matter how long or short they are. If we were asked to find a pair of rays, particularly rays that are parallel, we would say ray KL is parallel to ray MN. And that is how we would write a parallel symbol in an answer. You can be tested on this section by being given a diagram such as the one on the screen. A set of questions could be asked about these lines, rays, and segments. Take a moment to pause the video and try to identify the different lines, rays, and segments based on the questions shown below. Let's see how you did. At first, a question like this can feel overwhelming and seem a bit confusing. So take the time to separate all your information to make it more digestible. The first question is asking about line segments. So I'm going to highlight it in blue and then do the same for all the line segments in my diagram. Remember, line segments should not have any arrows attached. I can see that FG, HI, and IN are all line segments. Question 2 asks for rays, which I'm going to highlight in green. I will use the same color to identify my rays in my diagram, and I can see that EF, CD, and JK are all rays as well. Question 3 also mentions rays, so I'm going to make note of that too. Question 4 mentions the word lines, but no mention of the word segments. This is important to take note of, as they are often confused. I highlight the word in yellow and then identify AB and LM as lines, since they both have arrows on either ends. The next thing I'm going to take note of is the word perpendicular and highlight all the symbols in the same color. Then I'm going to do the same for parallel, except that there is something important to note here. EF, HI, and CD all have one of these arrow markings on them. This means that these three are all parallel to each other. But then we see that JK and LM both have two of these arrow markings on them. This is done to show that JK and LM are parallel to each other, but they are not parallel to the other three which we found previously. Before answering any questions, make sure that you've highlighted the words parallel and perpendicular in your other questions as well. Okay, let's see how you did. Question 1 asks us to identify a pair of perpendicular line segments. So I know that all my line segments are FG, HI, and IN, and I'm going to jot them down here just to help me. The next thing I'm going to do is look for my perpendicular symbol, which we highlighted earlier on. Now I can see that HI and FG are the two line segments which are perpendicular to each other. Question 2 asks us to find a ray parallel to line LM. Well, here is LM, and we've already seen that JK is parallel to LM. JK is a ray, which means I've already found my answer. So ray JK is parallel to line LM. Question 3 says which two rays are parallel to each other? Well, I know that EF is a ray, and that's parallel to HI and to CD. But HI is a line segment, so it can't be parallel to HI since the question is asking for two rays which are parallel to each other. So therefore, my answer is ray EF is parallel to ray CD. Lastly, question 4 asks us to write down a pair of perpendicular lines. Well, again, I'm going to have a look at my perpendicular symbols and find the one that is attached to some lines. Here I can see line AB, and that is perpendicular to line LM. I also know that only this could possibly be the answer, since I had already identified only two lines in my diagram previously. And there you have it, all you need to know about identifying parallel and perpendicular lines and knowing the difference between lines, rays, and line segments.